I'm a bit of a show junkie. Whether you're talking about watching shows or building them, I'm your girl. I love being entertained, amused, and educated. And I've seen how powerful it can be to help entrepreneurs really elevate their message and start connecting with their ideal audiences. And not to mention how it can spread your movement around the world. So lights, camera, action, it's time to shine. Hey, I'm Molly from Visibility Hacking Studios, and we work with small businesses, visionary leaders, dedicated entrepreneurs, and help them get their message and their movement out to the world. And I love using live shows, and I love creating TV shows and talk shows for these different brands, businesses, and movements. And so today I figured, why not step in front of the camera and start talking to you about it today? Because wouldn't it be cool if you became the next Oprah, the next Montel, the next Ellen? But before we get to any of that, we have to talk about what you need to know when you're planning your show. We will also, of course, talk about the wonderful world of talk show formats. And no matter what style of show you have, we're also going to talk about how to double your number of live viewers. So if you're a small business owner or visionary entrepreneur and you want to get your message out across the world, then stay tuned. I'll see you after the intro. No matter what kind of business you have or what kind of movement or what kind of audience you have, if you want to be successful with any of your types of content, you have to take a little bit of time to plan it out first. So when it comes to planning for a talk show, whether you're delivering it live or you're pre-recording it and delivering it as content that way, you have to make sure that you're planning the right things. Because otherwise we could spend a ton of our effort, energy, and resources into something that isn't going to pan out, we're not actually going to be using. So let's make sure that we're using our resources, our energy, and our effort efficiently. First thing I want you to think about in the planning phase is understanding who your ideal audience is. Who are you trying to create this content for in the first place? Because once we understand who is going to be watching our show, we can very easily select the right formats and guests and graphics that are going to grab their attention and get them to keep watching. So pop quiz, tell me about who your ideal customer is. If you don't know yet, you can get a great head start with our customer avatar series. I'll put the link to the first video up above so you can get started on that. It'll give you a better understanding of who you're trying to create these messages for. And I want you to get really nitty-gritty about it once you understand who your general customer avatar is. I want you to better understand what their watching habits are. Where are they watching your content? Are they watching it on Facebook or on YouTube? Are they watching it live or are they watching it asynchronously or after the fact? Are they watching it with their eyeballs? Like, are they sitting down at their desk? Are they a captive audience? Or do you have them on audio as a podcast, for example? Or are they just listening to what you're talking about on your show while they go about and do other things in your day? Understanding those watching habits are essential to creating the right graphics and the right ambiance and the right content for your show. Then I also want you to think about who your ideal audience would like to see as guests on your show. Who are experts that they would like to gather some information from? Now, as you're developing this list, I literally want you to write them all down. Pro tip is put them into a Google spreadsheet, write their names down one column, and as you follow up with them and as you gather their contact information, you can put all of that into the same spreadsheet. If you want to know more about booking fantastic guests for your live shows or your podcast, we also have a link above that you can check out as well for that playlist. And another part of the planning phase is understanding your brand. Understand your brand's colors and fonts, what it feels like to be in your brand. And also, I want you to think about that voice and personality. I always talk about this on this channel, how your brand, if they were a person, what would they be like? Honestly, would you hang out with your brand? Are they fun and approachable? Are they sophisticated and elevated? What is that feeling and that persona of your brand? Because once you have that understood, then creating all of your visual authority, all of your graphics and overlays will be so much easier. Now, if you've been here before, you know that I like to say if you fail to plan, you're just planning on failing. And that's the same with live shows. I promise you, do the work ahead of time. Do the planning work before you go live. Give yourself some time to really develop, brainstorm, nurture those ideas. And then when you start to put them into play, they will become so much more impactful. We talked about a lot in the planning phase, but it brings us to our question of the day. When it comes to guests on your show, who would be an ideal guest? Tell us a bit about your audience, tell us a bit about the guest, and most importantly, tell us about where they come together. What is that intersection between what your guest is really great at and what your audience is needing? Tell us about it down in the comments. We've put in a lot of planning work into developing our live shows, and now let's actually create it. We've put all the resources on the table, now it's time to get to playing. There are so many different live show formats. We could create an entire series talking about this topic, but let's boil it down so that you can start taking action today. Let's talk about 3 key formats that I want you to think about when designing your show. Let's talk about what we call teach, talk, tell. First format I want you to follow is what we call teach. Teach formats are used when we want to create a show and tell experience. So this is where we're going to have screen shares, we'll have PDFs on board, we'll have different graphics and images that our viewers can pay attention to and follow along. Whether you're talking about a case study or you're walking them through a format or a framework or a process, teach formats are really, really beneficial to getting a message across. Now, if you've been here before, you know we like to talk about Jay Lee, the sales ninja, and the awesome live show that we created with him. Now, on one of his episodes every week, he does a teach format. This is where he picks a different topic every week, and he'll share different tips, tricks, and strategies around that same topic. And then it leads his students perfectly into the other format that he has every week. This brings us to our second format, which is the talk format. This is like a talk show. This is where you're gonna have some banter back and forth. You're gonna have guests on, whether you're bringing on expert guests, current students, potential clients. All of these guests are important and they fit perfectly into that talk format. If you want to get fancy and take it to the next level, you can start hosting roundtable discussions and panel discussions where you have more experts and more guests on at a time. But for those of you who are just getting started, maybe you're just starting your movement, you're just starting your business, you're just getting your message out to the world, and you might not have current students, you might not have potential students yet, you might not have connections to experts, but you want to get your message out to the world and you want to take actions to start building that community. Well, it's perfect because that's where format number 3 comes in, and that is our tell format. We use this format when we want to tell a story or something, for example. So if you're just getting started, share your journey. Talk about what happened in your movement this week. What did you try? What action steps did you take? What were the consequences or the reactions to those actions? Sharing those moments, sharing that journey creates really, really valuable content. And I'm very happy to tell you is not only beneficial and valuable when you're creating that content and sharing it with your audience, but it's also fantastic evergreen content or content that's able to provide value no matter what time of year it is. It'll be valuable in 3 years just as much as it will be in 3 days, for example. And it also gives you an opportunity to look back at the journey that you've created, look back at the progress you've created. So go tell stories, go share your journey. If you have the ability to, connect with guests and start taking action to get your message out to the world. If you want to know more about building a live show, creating an audience, building your online business, whether you're a brick and mortar business that likes to advertise and connect with people online, or you're an online exclusive business, we are here for you either way. But whichever category you fit into, make sure you hit the subscribe button and join us here on the Visibility Hacking channel because we have more tips, tricks, resources, strategies, and so much more for you Monday through Friday, and a whole bunch of live shows as well. Let's be honest, promoting your live show is a job unto itself. I like to make your lives easier, so let's talk about 3 different strategies that you can employ today to start getting more viewers to your live shows. And if you do it right, you can even double your number of live viewers. I've done it myself, I've seen it happen for our clients, and I want to see it happen for you too. First, I want you to promote your show to your email list. Utilize all of those different groupings and places or parties, I like to say, places that your ideal audience is hanging out. If you've collected and curated an email list, why not use it to spread the message? But we're not just sending another email. What we're going to do in this email is incentivize them to participate. Whether you ask them a question and say, oh, we're only asking for feedback and input from our email followers, so you guys have the exclusive. If you have any questions on today's topic, definitely let us know, connect with us, and we'll answer your questions live. See, this simple way of incentivizing action is going to create that community from your email list and bring them over to your live show. Strategy number 2 is really simple. It's to look around all of the different platforms, whether you're on Facebook or you're on Twitter or you're on Twitch or Instagram, whatever platform you're on, look at all of the opportunities you have to put your branding. We've talked about YouTube channel trailers and banners. I'll link those above for you. But what I want you to think about is how your brand shows up on static images, so things like your YouTube channel banner, your thumbnails, your Facebook profile images, that kind of stuff. Things that don't really move and don't really change episode to episode. I want you to look at those graphics just as much as I want you to look at the visual authority and the branding that happens when your show is live. Is there a disconnect? Do they feel cohesive? Do they feel like they're part of the same brand? That is super important, because what it's going to do is it's going to leave that trail in your customers' minds, in your potential customers' mind. They're going to see your brand pop up more often. So let's get super nerdy for a moment. From a psychological perspective, it takes about 28 times of someone seeing your brand or hearing your message before they actually start to pay attention. Which means when they are seeing our graphics, when they are seeing our brand showing up, those count towards those 28 times. And we want to make sure that each and every one of those touch points is cohesive and connected back to promoting your show. Now, if you have guests on your show, you're going to utilize strategy number 3 as well, and that is to leverage the audiences your guest has already been curating. The cool thing about expert guests is that they already have their own following, their own community of people who trust their expertise. So if you can leverage their audience in a way that shares your show with them, they're also going to want to become viewers. So make sure you're creating quality content that not only your audience will like to hear, but that your guest's audience will like as well. So after hearing all of this, are you excited to get your show started? Because I'm excited to hear about your shows. So let us know about them down in the comments if you have any questions. And of course, you can always join us for Friday Night Lives here on our YouTube channel, over in our Facebook group as well. And of course, if you jump on into our Facebook group, you can also join us live on the call on Friday Night Live, get your questions answered. So we'd love to see you over there. You can head over to visibilityhacking.com and click the link at the very top of the page that says Become a Visibility Hacker. That'll pop you over into our Facebook group, answer a couple questions, and we will let you in. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I will see you very, very soon for our next one. And until I do, remember I love you, be excellent to each other, just go live. People are waiting for you.